Stand by.
Great. Welcome, everyone. Yep. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Covalent workshop with Harish and Ganesh that will cover scale with one unified API. So without further ado, I will let Harish and Ganesh take it over. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat and we will get back to them. If not here, after the talk on the sponsorship channel. I let you take the floor.
Thanks, Catherine, for that warm intro. Hey, guys, super nice to be here. I'm here with my colleague, Harish, who leads developer evangelism. So the way we structure this is that I'll just give a brief intro to Covalent, what we're about and why we started the project and what we're focused on. And then Harish will take over and give us a product demo. But feel happy to ask questions on the chat. I will be actively monitoring the chat as we swap roles. So I'm one of the founders of Covalent. I'm a data scientist by training, and we built Covalent to solve this problem that all data on the blockchain is public, but is actually inaccessible to a layperson. Like you need to download the Node software, you need to parse and crawl, you need to go fetch ABIs. There's a lot of steps that if you just want to answer a simple question. So we built this product. We've been building this since 2017, actually, and we've been building this through the bear market. And suddenly last year, we started to get a lot of traction, especially as the DeFi projects started to pick up mainstream. And then this year with the NFT projects picking up steam, and probably DAOs or other kinds of use cases on the blockchain. So we're use case agnostic. That's really what Covalent provides. So a little bit about the history. Covalent is now a team of about 30 people. We would love to call ourselves affectionately as data nerds. We're very passionate about the transparency, visibility. So we do a lot of hackathons. We do something called Dungeons and Data, which is another flagship hackathon. We do 1 million wallets, and we are now sponsoring scaling Ethereum. So what the product really is it gives you a unified API to pull out balances, positions, and historical granular transaction activity across, I believe, 8 different blockchains. So the only change that a developer needs to do is change the chain ID, and suddenly the same schema and the same responses are now available across all of these other chains that we index. So these questions could include simple questions like, give me a list of the ERC20 assets in my wallet. Now, this is a simple question because every wallet portfolio app requires it, but it's actually a very hard problem technically to solve because on Ethereum, there's over 200,000 ERC20 contracts. And the only way to answer this is by checking the internal state of every single ERC20 contract and seeing if your address has a non-zero balance. And we are able to do that in sub-second response times. So I'm very proud of the product that my team has built over the years. Of course, this is, we didn't just show up. It's taken multiple iterations and multiple times of stumbling before we're able to really fine tune this API. So that's just one example. Another example would be getting log events. And one of the unique aspects of Covalent, as opposed to other kinds of data middleware products, is that we index the entire blockchain, which means the Covalent database has every single balance, every single position, every single transaction, every single log event, basically everything. We've done an exact replica of the data on the blockchain to a database, which is available through the Covalent Unified API, which means that if you want to get the log events out of any contract on any of the supported blockchains, which could be Polygon, which could be Phantom, which could be Ethereum mainnet, all you have to do is give it the contract address and figure out the logs that are emitted from that contract. You don't have to do anything beyond that. And if we happen to have the ABI on our backend, we'll also decode the log events for you. If you don't, it's raw events that you can then decode yourself on the client side. So who builds with us? So we have over 100 customers right now building with Covalent. And we're one of those few projects that's revenue generating. And the use cases can come from the enterprise case where Consensus, for example, Consensus is one of the biggest companies out there in the blockchain space. They have a token issuance, token distribution platform called Activate. And so all of their data is powered by Covalent. So that's an example where you need access to compliance, token balances, access to vesting schedules, modus multipliers, everything that's on chain. So all of that comes from Covalent. We're pretty big in the wallet space. Basically, every wallet in the Ethereum space is using Covalent to get out all of your balances. We also have a very interesting endpoint to get the historical portfolio value of your ERC20 assets over the last 30 days. So this gives you a beautiful area chart that tells you what the value of your portfolio has been over the last 30 days. So those are the features that we built for wallets. So we're pretty active in the wallet space. We're also very active in the exchange space. So if you're using Coinbase or Binance, it's possible to go to these exchanges and download a CSV of your transactions if you want to do your taxes. But if you're using a DEX like Kyber or 1inch or SushiSwap or Uniswap, there's no feature where you can download a CSV of your historical transactions. So we provide that feature. So we have a lot of exchanges or exchange UIs using Covalent to build tools for taxation. Another use case is portfolio ROI tools. So liquidity.vision, there is Folio Vision. There's a lot of tools out there that are showing you your impermanent loss, the ROI of your positions on Uniswap, all of the information that's pertinent to an investor to make the right decisions. So we have a lot of those products building on Covalent. And then we have NFT dashboards. That's also very, very interesting. So things like figuring out the market cap of your assets within an NFT contract, the last sale price, the trading price, what is the valuation of your portfolio, stuff of that sort. Just a lot of use cases. I would say at this case, every new customer who signs up with us is a completely different use case. So the product itself is generalized, it's use case agnostic and blockchain agnostic. The idea behind and the vision behind Covalent API is to speeden that time to market so that developers are not focused on building indexing code or have to mess around with node software or ABIs or even write a single line of indexing code. That's really the idea. And then, yeah, I think that's basically it. The high level during this hackathon is we're offering $3,000 of USDT to 3 teams that make the best use of Covalent's API. All of this information will be on the landing page, so you can look up it for further information. But we have lots of interesting ideas that we want developers to build, like multi-chain NFT portfolio valuation models. That's an example. That's very exciting. DAO financial management tools. So the ability to track multiple wallets, ability to use multi-sig, free-form notes and transaction records, multi-chain support. So you're able to now support like Polygon, Mainnet, Binance Smart Chain, Phantom, Avalanche, like because your assets are across all of these chains and you need one unified API to build that UI. We want to build DAO transparency dashboards. So figure out how much money is in the treasury, what is it being used for, what is the run rate, and so on. And yeah, so I think high level, that's what Covalent is about. And what I'll do now is I will let Harish take on with the demo and explain the Class A, Class B endpoints and stuff that's more pertinent to actual building. Thanks, guys.
Okay, Ganesh, thank you so much for that overview. Hey everyone, my name is Harish. As Ganesh mentioned, I look after developer relations and the bottom-up ecosystem growth at Covalent. And really exciting to have the opportunity to sort of walk through our product in a little bit more detail with the demo. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and I also shared a couple links in the chat One's to our API docs, and one is to our overall generic docs, which have got a lot of other resources such as case studies, how-to guides, information about our campaigns that Ganesh had mentioned, and some of our other tools. But what we're going to do, because we only have 20 minutes or so here, is we're going to start with the API docs. And to be able to use the docs, you can actually do it directly in the browser. One of the nice features of what the Covalent API offers is the ability to sort of test it out directly from the browser. You will need to register for an API key to be able to do this. So if you haven't done so already, you can do, there's links from the docs to be able to sign up for your free API key. As Ganesh may have mentioned here, we've got basically two main classes for our API endpoints, and we'll sort of walk through examples of both those two main classes. The first is the class A, which are endpoints that are generic and can be used across multiple networks. So if you're pulling out balances, transaction, log events, by simply changing one parameter, as we'll see with the chain ID, you're able to grab all this detailed decoded information across multiple networks. And then our class B are more specific for specific projects and protocols. So we'll see examples of being able to pull out SUSI swap network assets, for example, and see the type of response that we get back. For anything that requires us to pull pricing information, we do offer the ability to grab data in multiple supported quote currencies. And so here's the full list. And the other thing that's really unique about our API is the fact that our responses can be in one of two formats. You can actually, in addition to getting the standard JSON response, you can get your data back in CSV. And so you can literally copy and paste that data into an Excel or a Google Sheet and do your analysis there if you wanted to. So let's start with our class A, or we'll actually start with some of the pricing endpoints just to give you a quick feel for how these endpoints work and the way our docs are set up here. So here's an example of where you can fetch all the historical prices for a particular ticker symbol. We also have the ability to grab it by contract address if you wanted to have multiple addresses or ticker addresses. You can do that as well. And so you can support, we support multiple core currencies. You would add in your ticker symbol, and then you can actually specify any starting date, and we would fetch not only the current price, but the historical price as well. And so here's an example of your data being returned in CSV format. And we can also get this data in JSON and use that in any app where you're displaying prices. We're going to move over back to our class A. So the pricing, you've got historical prices by address, by multiple addresses, by ticker symbol, or even getting some details around price volatility. So with our class A, what we're going to do is start with probably one of our more popular endpoints, which is getting the change in token holders between any two block heights. And why this is really powerful is the fact that you can fetch this information for a particular token across multiple networks. So if we wanted to see all the token holders of Aave, for example, here is we use a chain ID 1 for Ethereum mainnet, and this is the token contract address for Aave, and we've just specified a starting block. And so this will give us all the token holders, as well as the difference between the current block, which is roughly this, versus whatever we specified for a starting block. And you will get the full list of all the token holders, as well as the difference between those two blocks. And we can actually just simply change the chain ID, as we mentioned before. If I wanted to get all the Aave token holders on, let's say, the Polygon or the Matic mainnet, we just simply look at the mapping between the Aave token on Ethereum and the Aave token on Matic. And there's a token mapper tool that's provided for all these networks. You would just simply use that particular contract address, and you would be able to get all the data associated with Aave token holders on the Matic network. And so that's how easy it is to fetch information of block holders for a particular token across multiple networks. We've got the ability to fetch token balances for any particular address. And if it's for the Ethereum network, we can actually resolve Ethereum name. So if you've got demo.eth, we'd be able to simply, under the hood, determine the wallet, the underlying address there, and we can fetch all the balances. If we set NFT to true, we also get all the underlying ERC 721 and 1155 assets. And so this allows you to get really detailed granular data related to not only just standard ERC20 tokens, but also any custom NFTs as well for a wallet. We've got the ability to grab all the transactions. So similarly, specifying a chain ID and an address, and we will be able to get all the underlying transactions that have taken place for that wallet address. So again, as Ganesh had mentioned, one of the common use cases is building out wallets across multi-chain wallets. And so we've got these endpoints that make it really easy to be able to fetch this granular data across multiple networks. For those of you who get into some of the details with log events, logs that are emitted by smart contracts, we've got the ability to pull out the decoded log event details. And so you would just need to grab the topic hash of the log event that you're interested in. And you can also specify the particular sender contract address. So in this example, we're actually looking at all the flash loans that have been issued by the Aave lending protocol. And so we have the topic hash for the flash loan. We've got the sender address being the Aave lending protocol. And we've got our response in CSV here where we can see all the flash loans as well as all the details about those loans provided to us here in CSV format. A couple other endpoints I'm just going to walk through here. So as mentioned, we've got multiple endpoints here for supporting our NFTs, and NFT data is notoriously messy and difficult to retrieve. And part of this is because you've got non-compliant standards and you've got some of this data that lives off chain. And so we've spent quite a bit of time beefing up these NFT related endpoints. So we can start by grabbing all the NFT token IDs for a particular contract address. So I grabbed this one, I believe this is Axie Infinity. In order to find the smart contract address, if you go to a marketplace like OpenSea, you can actually just grab that directly from the URL. And this would give us the full list of all the Axie tokens that exist. And then you can iterate through this where for a particular token ID, you can then grab all the underlying external metadata, or you can grab the underlying transactions and get all the details of those particular NFTs and how they were traded and between whom, et cetera, et cetera. So those are sort of the high level key endpoints that we sort of classified under our class A, which again are generic across multiple networks. What we're going to do now is just take a look at some of our Class B endpoints. And again, Class B, we started out by building these out for some of the largest DeFi protocols. And there were, as of last year, early last year, there were probably only a handful of these. So it was relatively easy to focus in on the top DeFi protocols. Now that space has expanded so much that it's virtually impossible to keep up. And so part of what we're going to do is create this idea of a marketplace where contributors can build these custom endpoints for specific protocols or their use cases. And then the marketplace will be available for anybody to utilize those API endpoints. So let's take a look at the SushiSwap network assets. And what we're going to do is we're just going to look at all these the SushiSwap assets on the Ethereum mainnet. And here is the example response that we get back, where we've got, for example, the exchange address and then the underlying tokens that make up that exchange address. And what's really powerful about this particular Class B endpoint is the fact that we can actually fetch SushiSwap assets across multiple networks, again, by simply just changing the chain ID. So if we wanted to look at all the assets on Phantom, which we've recently indexed, now we've got all the data associated with the SushiSwap exchange pairs on Phantom. And the last one I'll point out here is taking a look at all the detailed transactions related to a particular exchange pair. So again, we're going to look at, we've got a little gist here that you can dive through if you wanted to get the full details. But here I'm going to specify the Polygon network, and I've passed in a particular address here. And what I can see is, all the transaction events that have taken place. And we've also got a flag here to be able to get the details for all the swaps. So if I just set that to true, so in addition to adding, activities like adding liquidity, I can also get all the detailed swap information, including the token details that were part of that swap. So that's just a high-level overview of what the docs provide, or the API docs provide. And again, once you get your API key, you can test all this and interact with our API directly from the browser. You don't need to install any custom software or anything like that. And this is our overall docs page. And we've got great references to our learning series, for example, if you wanted to go through a few of our how-to guides to get started with using our API, as well as a couple case studies. And then we've also got detailed information about each of the networks that we support. And this might be helpful if you're intending to build something that is multi-chain. Okay, well, I'll pause it there. If there's any questions, we can take that on now. Ganesh, I don't know if you wanted to wrap up with maybe talking about a few of the opportunities that currently exist with Covalent around our Alchemist Ambassador program, but I'll pause it here.
Absolutely, thanks, Harish. Amazing, amazing demo. It's cool to see an outsider's look into what the team has been building on. We're usually very heads down building product. So we have a couple of things that's pretty exciting that's coming up in the horizon. So one is our Alchemist Ambassador program, and think of this as an investment in the community's growth and leadership potential. So we are recruiting 2,000 people, and we're teaching them how to crunch numbers, how to work with CSVs, how to do pivot tables, how to tell stories, narratives with data. So this is a personal passion of ours, and we are actually going to be distributing 1% of our token supply to drive this initiative. So please go to covalenthq.com/ambassador. The third season just opened up, and we're recruiting 700 spots for this. But you don't have to be technical. You can do content writing. You can even create memes, but we do have a section for developers, which is called Developer Augmentation, and this is to build, to really take the message forward. So that's pretty exciting. And then another big architectural change is that Covalent so far has been a centralized system, so it's a SaaS product. You can sign up and it's centralized, but we have been building the decentralized version of Covalent for about a year now. And so hence the token, hence the public sale and stuff of that sort. But I'm not going to tell more about that because I want to keep this focused on the product and developers. Now I think we can go to the questions here. So the first question is, are these ideas documented somewhere? I believe you have a landing page explicitly for the Scaling Ethereum Hackathon. So maybe we can drop a link in here for that. How do you manage slippage for X crypto, different prices on different exchanges? So our price feed, we have two sources of price feeds. One is a aggregation, which is a total volume weighted pricing from centralized exchanges. So that's one of our price feeds. And the second price feed is from decentralized exchanges. So what's happening with a lot of these newer DeFi tokens is that the price discovery has moved to DEXs, not to centralized exchanges, because they're first listed on Uniswap before anywhere else. So we actually have an endpoint coming out that explicitly uses Uniswap or SushiSwap as an oracle. And this is very pertinent because these newer tokens are launching on these newer chains where there's no liquidity. And so you need to port over the prices from mainnet or somewhere else. So we have this huge problem, like in PancakeSwap, for example, on Binance chain. A lot of the smaller assets, there's no pricing. And the only way to get that is to get it either through a centralized exchange or through Ethereum mainnet. So that should answer the question. Where can I find pricing of the API endpoints? May the pricing change with time? If so, how much? So great question. So the product currently is free. So you can sign up. There's no charge to use the API. So we have lots of customers who have gone to production with us. So we're pushing like hundreds of requests per second. So scale is not a problem with us. What is going to change over the coming months is that with the launch of the decentralized network, the pricing is going to be set by the network itself. But what I can guarantee is that the pricing, there's going to be downward pressure on the pricing, and this will be cheaper and faster than any centralized solution that's out there, because it's going to be served by professional people with actual data centers. So we've recruited about 4 professional validation teams that have actual bare metal who will be serving the Covalent API. And so there's no way you can beat those guys on efficiency and pricing. So I can guarantee that it'll be dirt cheap to use once the network is up and running. But until then, the product is completely free. Regarding Covalent upcoming public sale, is there unusually massive price disparity between the seed at 0.1 and public sale at 0.5? Are you guys sure there is this concern? So I was expecting this question. It's not relevant to this thing. There was a typo on the CoinList page, which is a very unfortunate mistake. It's actually 0.05 and 0.013 that got rounded to 1. This happened. So Covalent has been around for a while. We've been around since 2017. And these are guys who invested in Covalent before there was product market fit, before there was revenue, before there was any team. So in the last 8 months, the team has grown from 3 people to 30 people. The number of projects has gone from like 4 or 5 to over 100. The number of blockchains has gone from just Ethereum to over 8. So they have been instrumental in scaling Covalent and in growing that. So what we are doing an update is, of course, we're going to change that truncation numbers and also putting the date timestamps on when these financings happen. This happened at a different time. There's a bear market. I was going out and begging for cash. Bull markets are different. So that should address that concern. I am going to be recording a video, which is a community FAQ addressing a lot of these points. So stay tuned for that video that's coming out later today. Are there rate limits enforced on the API? The only rate limit we have is a concurrency rate limit. So we support 20 requests per second, but there's no limit on how many APIs you're able to consume in a month or in a week or per day. There's no limits on that. It just concurrently, you can only make 20 requests per second. Max block range of 1 million blocks. Yeah, so the size of the data is another challenge. Yes, the request per second is one limit, but a lot of the endpoints, people are just pulling out like on Ethereum, like 12 million blocks, which, why would you want to pull out the entire blockchain in one API? I don't know why that would be a reason. If there's a specific need for this, please do get in touch. We're very active. I know we have a team that's actively building the product, serving customers and answering the support queries. So definitely get in touch with us if you have a special requirement. We might be able to arrange something.
Thank you, Ganesh and Harish, for this great session. We are running out of time. And I think we actually covered all the questions. So thanks for all of this. If you guys have any other questions, please go on the sponsor channel in Discord. The entire team from Covalent will be there to answer your questions throughout the hackathons and today as well. So on this, I will wish you all a very great day. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Catherine.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks for having us, Catherine. Appreciate it.